Gen X, in the years ahead of us, are we about to be the first generation that is worse off than our parents? All signs are pointing to yes on that. We're heading into retirement less prepared than any generation before us. Let that sink in for a minute. And not all of that is our fault. And with the dark cloud of Social Security cuts looming over us, it gives new meaning to that saying, when it rains, it pours. In this video, I'm going to share 10 things that Gen Xers may soon find it impossible to afford. Stick with me because some of these are going to hit closer to home than you expected. First on the list is health insurance and health care. Of course. Let's start with the obvious. Health insurance. Premiums go up every single year, and we're getting hit with age adjustments as well. Happy birthday. Now here's the brutal truth. How can a plan that costs $700 a month for one person have a $7,000 deductible? I don't know how that exists, but I know that it does. Then there are prescriptions. How is it possible that one maintenance drug can cost as little as $4 for a 30-day supply, while another life-dependent drug costs hundreds or even thousands? Is this becoming a society where staying alive depends on how deep your wallet is? And then finally, the care itself. The worst thing that can happen is you getting sick and actually needing to use the system. So yeah, healthcare is supposed to be there for us, but for Gen X, it's becoming something we can't afford. Number 2 is retirement in itself is becoming prohibitively expensive. Retirement used to feel like the finish line. I made it. Now it feels like some moving target that keeps sprinting ahead of us. In our 50s, we've got to make a career out of, just saving and planning for a hopeful retirement. We all see it, the cost of living, inflation, the economy. It's not good. But here's the scarier question. Is this as bad as it gets? Or is it going to continue to obliterate the middle class? What's retirement going to look like in 10 years or 25 years? And the truth is we don't even know what enough even is anymore. The number feels unknown, astronomical. And most Gen Xers are already behind on their retirement savings. So the numbers seem unattainable as well. So how do you prepare for something you can't even measure? That's the brutal part. And I fear that many Gen Xers are going to face those final chapters in poverty or forced to continue to work when our health makes it nearly impossible. That's not the retirement that we were led to believe was waiting for us. Number 3, peace of mind is becoming too expensive. What gives you peace of mind? Knowing your kids are safe and sound, getting that good test result back from the doctor, having a roof over your head with the right insurance to protect it. Or maybe it's something simpler, like having a reliable car. Here's the reality. Peace of mind is becoming more and more expensive every day. So is it fair to even say that getting a good night's sleep might now come at a price that's too steep for many Gen Xers? Number 4 is helping our elderly parents. As Gen Xers, we already carry retirement insecurities of our own. Financial stress, the pressure of just making ends meet. And then it happens. You start seeing the signs, or your parents sit you down and tell you they're in trouble. What then? You may have to help them liquidate assets, sell the car, cash out savings, maybe even sell the family home. And hopefully that's enough. But what if it goes even further than that? You're faced with a brutal choice. How do you keep your parents from becoming destitute? Does everyone just all move in together? Pool your resources just to survive? The truth is it's better to get involved before the crisis hits, whether it's financial, health-related, caregiving, because by the time it's urgent, options shrink very fast. Okay, number 5 is a healthy dating and or social life. Dating is awkward enough already. Now add extreme frugality into the mix. And nothing says romance like whipping out a buy one, get one free coupon at dinner. Sure, a lot of people don't mind inexpensive outings because let's face it, most of us need to watch our money. But after your 8th coffee date in a row, it starts to feel a lot less like dating and more like, do I have to do this? And it's not just dating. Having any kind of social life has never been cheap. Entertainment, alcohol, eating out, those kinds of things have always been budget busters. But today, with current restaurant prices, the price of concert tickets, and even basic cover charges at bars and clubs, painting the town red is simply becoming something the average Gen Xer can't afford. Now, before I get to the next one, I'd like to ask a favor. If you haven't subscribed yet, today is the day. Because if you find this video interesting, I promise there will be more clickable opportunities. So please subscribe so you never miss a one of them. Okay, number 6 on the list. Is it becoming too expensive to own and maintain a home? If buying a home was the only hurdle, then most of us we'd be set by now. But we all know that signing on the dotted line is just the beginning of the story. The longer you own a house, the older it gets, the more care it demands, and the more things that break. And that's before you even factor in the rising cost of insurance. And long after the last mortgage payment is sent in, there's still property taxes, assessment fees, HOAs that seem to have no upper limit. These are all things that our parents never had to worry about. Suddenly, what was supposed to be your safe haven, your sure thing, it starts feeling like a financial trap, closing in on you. House can go from being your biggest asset to becoming a monkey on your back. Which brings us to number 7, apartment rent. Now, not every Gen Xer chose homeownership. Some of us never wanted it. Others got burned during the 2008 housing crisis. And for others, location and circumstances, it just made it out of reach. So yes, there are a lot of Gen X renters, and there may be many more of us, in the future. Whether it's because of downsizing or because owning a home has just become too much. But the reality is, rent prices are totally offensive today. Outside of Section 8 housing or rent control, you are completely at the mercy of the so-called market rates, set by property management companies. I have a friend that lives in a townhome. The rent has increased $800 per month just in the last 3 years. On top of that, they've added a $25 per pet fee, a $10 trash fee, another $25 maintenance fee, and a variable water fee. And yeah, somehow this is legal. So who is actually on the side of the renter right now? And will landlords roll things back to normal once the market cools? Lower the rent? Kill the bogus fees? Yeah, dream on. I feel we've crossed a bridge into territory where I don't really see a way back. Okay, number 8 is epic summer vacations. Now this one, it's for Gen Xers, as American as apple pie and baseball. And hopefully, you got that photo with Mickey Mouse. Hopefully, you took that cross-country road trip that you've always dreamed about. Because it seems the window for big travel is closing fast for Gen X. Let's talk some real numbers. A 3-day trip for two to Disney World, mid-range, that'll cost you about $2,500. Now let's go bigger. A 10-day trip to Europe. You're looking at around $4,500. And remember, these are today's prices. Now here's the hard question. Can Gen Xers keep spending on these epic trips when retirement savings are behind? Emergencies aren't planned for or funded? And so many of us are already stretched beyond our means? Yeah, it's a bummer, I know. And number 9 is healthy food and dining out. We've eaten so much fake food over the years, at some point we know we need to make a change. So we vow to eat healthier. But here's what that looks like. You want grass-fed steak? That'll run you $15 to $25 a pound. Eggs and ground beef? Same deal. You want the humane, healthier versions? Then eggs will run you at least $6 a dozen. Ground beef, at least $7 a pound. Baby spinach? Now, it doesn't matter if you get it at Walmart or Whole Foods, because I checked them both. You're still going to pay around $5 to $6 for a 16-ounce container of that. Rabbit food. Now, I like baby spinach, so I'm not knocking it. And avocados? If you find those under $1 each, then you've found a steal. So you throw up your hands and you think, I'll just eat out. But how affordable is that? And whether it's fake food, healthy food, or restaurant food, it's all overpriced. And either way, you're going to pay for it now or pay for it later. And number 10 on the list is dental care. Is it just me, or is dental care turning into something only the rich can afford? Kind of like cosmetic surgery? And dental insurance. Don't even get me started on that. It's not even worth it. All of them have like an annual max of $1,500. That barely gets you a couple of cleanings, some x-rays, maybe a filling, and you're maxed out. It certainly doesn't cover the other 10 urgent projects that your dentist tells you that you need. And now there's a whole industry built on medical and dental tourism. People flying to Costa Rica or Mexico to get their dental work done. But the real question is how much further can it go before it gets out of reach for the average Gen Xer? Especially once we stop working and our income shrinks and we're stuck, living on fixed dollars. And that's when the real stress sets in. So tell me in the comments, do you think all of this economic craziness that's really worldwide right now, do you think it's going to calm down anytime soon? Or even within the next 5 years? Or are we in uncharted territory for good? I'd love to believe that this is just one blip, in history. One that we can, look back on and face better, more prosperous times in the future. But I'll be honest, the realist in me, I'm not too sure about that. Gen X, we're in the middle of financial struggles that no one prepared us for. No one could have prepared us for this. And if you want to see more of how deep this really goes, then check out this video next on the 10 most troubling stats of our generation. I'll link it right here. So stay Gen X strong and don't stop believing. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.